This episode of Nutshell Brainery is brought to you by The Courage to Succeed, Discover and Achieve What Matters Most, and Tell Everything Else to Take a Hike by Lon Schiffbauer. Now available at Amazon.
Hi there, I'm Lon Schiffbauer. Today we're going to talk about the importance of formatting and structuring our communications. But first, what do you think of the new setup? Granted, it's not too different from what I've done in the past, but I'm trying to dial in the lighting and so forth. Fact is, the quality of my past videos hasn't been exactly stellar, but you know what? It's all good. Or is it? More about that later. First, let's play a little game. I'm going to show you a document and you tell me what it is, okay? So here it is. Can you tell me what it is? Trust me, you've seen plenty of these things. I'm willing to bet you have one of your own tucked away somewhere or another. So, figure it out yet? What about this one? That's right, it's a resume. It's pretty obvious. You didn't even have to read it to know what it was. Thing is, this resume, it's exactly the same material as in the first document. So how is it that you were able to recognize the second document as a resume when the first one that had the exact same information was such a mess? The answer is in the format. As we learned in episode 1, we communicate to influence the attitudes and behaviors of others. In other words, we want them to say yes to our proposals. For example, a resume is a communication, and the purpose of a resume is to get that interview. So with that in mind, ask yourself, how hard do you want your audience to work to understand your communication? How hard do you want them to work to say yes? When you look at it in those terms, it's pretty clear that we don't want them to work hard at all. In the case of a resume, we want to make it drop dead easy for them to read it, understand it, make a decision, and pick up the phone and call us. That's what structure and format helps us do. It makes it easy for our audience to get the information they need, process it, and come to a desirable outcome. Sure, the first document I showed you had all the information contained in a resume, but there's no way in the world a manager is going to read through all that nonsense. The second document, on the other hand, the one structured and formatted like a resume, it could very well have gotten me the interview. So how is it that structure and format can make such a difference when we communicate? One way it helps us is by compartmentalizing the information for the reader. By this I mean it breaks the information down into bite-sized chunks that the reader can then easily assimilate and process. I'm using this principle right now. In fact, all the episodes we've done thus far have been pretty much 10-minute bite-sized chunks. And then each one of these videos compartmentalizes the information into still smaller chunks, such as this one about compartmentalizing information. And so with that in mind, you're probably expecting that I'm going to move on to point 2 about how structure and format helps us communicate. And you're right, which really helps to serve to exemplify the second point. Structure and format provides predictability to the reader. Readers like to have a sense of what's coming next, kind of a clue of what's coming around the corner. Structure and format can provide this to the reader. In the case of our resume, structure and format allows the reader to scan the document quickly to find the information they're looking for. They know that at the top they're going to find a summary. They know that toward the bottom they're going to be able to find education. Whatever they need, they can get it quickly, easily, no fuss, no muss. Formatting also helps convey credibility in our communications. Have you ever received a scam email? The kind that's sort of fishing for personal information? One time my son received an email from what looked like the FBI. It told him the agents were on their way to break down his door and haul him off to jail unless he paid a court-ordered fine within 24 hours. He was pretty shaken up, especially since the email looked so official. We're talking letterhead, logos, format. It was all there. It even had me a little concerned. It wasn't until I read the email a little closer that I realized it was just a scam and that I could probably keep my kid. Mind you, this principle works the other way around as well. Yes, well-formatted documents can lend credibility to fraudulent communication. But in the same way, Poorly formatted communications can make really credible information seem totally bogus. I mean, for example, have you ever watched one of my videos and thought, this guy doesn't know the first thing about shooting film? I mean, yeah, you're right. Or maybe every once in a while you notice I mess up a word here or there. Normally I figure this out when I'm doing the closed captioning for the videos, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe I said that. Whether consciously or otherwise, these things may have caused you to wonder whether or not I know what I'm talking about. Hence all this swanky new lighting. My goal is to deliver at least a good enough video experience for you that it doesn't get in the way of the message. And yeah, I know what I'm talking about. I think. This is why employers, when they're looking at your resume, they'll chuck it in the trash if they find spelling errors. You might be the exact right person they're looking for, the kind of employee they're hoping to hire on. But the spelling errors, they call your qualifications into question. Now that we understand the importance of structure and format in our communication, the question then becomes, what's the best format? This is exactly why we talk about format in this stage of this communication process flow. Just as in the purpose of our communication leads us to the right audience, which in turn tells us what channel would work best, the channel dictates the structure and format that we should use. This means that your format is going to change depending on the channel. Whether you're writing an email, writing an article, shooting a video, it all depends on the sort of channel that you're using to reach your audience for your stated purpose. Then and only then does it make sense to consider the content and tone of your communication. But that's for our next episode. And so there we are. I hope this was helpful. Next time when we get together, we're going to wrap up our discussion of the fundamentals of communication by talking about content and tone. It should be a good ride, so I hope you'll join me, and thanks for watching.